Welcome to the LOGSTAT, the Army's premier podcast on all things sustainment, where we analyze new developments, discuss current trends, and forge the path ahead for the next generation of sustainment soldiers. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the LOGSTAT. I'm your host, Captain Garett Pyle. Have you ever walked to a dining facility or a Warrior restaurant and saw these different labels across all the food there? Some are red, some are yellow, a lot of them are mostly green. When you're like, so what do these mean? Why is the food labeled the way it is? And you've probably heard the term "go for green." Well, today we're going to be analyzing all that, seeing where all this stuff comes from, all these different labels, understand why nutrition matters and how you optimize your nutrition for you can truly go for green. And to walk us through this concept today, I have two guests here with me who are both experts in the dietitian field who are going to kind of walk us through this. My guests with me are Denise Laursen, who serves as the Army Food Program dietitian, and Major Christin Jessen, who is a senior nutrition instructor for the Joint Culinary Training Department, both here at Fort Lee, Virginia. I'll give them both a chance to introduce themselves. So, Denise?
I'm Denise Laursen. I am a registered dietitian, one of the Army Food Program dietitians here at the Joint Culinary Training Department. My background is in clinical nutrition, policy, child nutrition. I also have a degree in culinary arts before I became a dietitian. So I've worked in food service before, and I've been here about 5 years, and that's about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Excited to have you on the show today. And ma'am?
Hi, I'm Major Christin Jessen. I'm a registered dietitian, 65 Charlie in the Army. I've been in the Army over 18 years, and I have had many, many jobs. I've done inpatient, outpatient, food service, field feeding, and currently I serve as the senior nutrition instructor at Fort Lee. So I teach in the many, many nutrition modules for all the courses throughout, and I do newcomers briefs for all the AIT soldiers to ensure that they're getting the basics to set them up for success.
Well, thank you very much, ma'am. Excited to have you on the show as well. And I think the best part to start with right now is, okay, you're a dietitian in the Army. Can you kind of walk us through what that is, like what that career field is like for those who have no idea what that even existed?
So the U.S. Army has been very invested in nutrition for a long time. We have the most dietitians out of all the military services, and we do something called the Master's Program in Nutrition, where we build our own. So you come in with a bachelor's degree, and you do a master's degree and an internship program, and then you take your test, and now you're a dietitian in the Army. Or you come in where you already have all those components, or you're already a registered dietitian, and you do something called direct accession. So either way, we'll take you as a dietitian either way. We have something called holistic health and fitness, where we're again investing even more in dietitians. So we're taking a lot more people right now because we need to build the force to support all the brigades that we're trying to man.
Okay. Now, is this an officer only, or is there an enlisted side as well?
So our 68 Mikes, nutrition specialists, are our enlisted counterparts. They actually have to do the 92 Golf culinary specialist training, and then they do the 68 Mike training. They act as our extenders. So they do cooking for patient feeding, they do teaching classes, they do counseling. They're our right hands.
Okay. Then Denise, for your side of the house, can you kind of walk us through, what really is a dietitian?
Sure. A dietitian can do many different things. We're licensed and registered professionals, and we work in all different aspects of food and nutrition, doing medical nutrition therapy. We work in food service. We work in public policy. We work in public nutrition. So we work in food research and nutrition research and academia. And we become dietitians basically the same way that Major Jessen explained, through education. We all have to have a master's degree, pass a national exam, and in order to be registered. And I think that's about it.
So is there a difference then between a dietitian and a nutritionist?
There is. Dietitian is a protected title, right, through licensure. Nutritionist is not. So some nutritionists are dietitians. We can be either registered dietitian or registered dietitian nutritionist. That's still a licensed title. If someone calls themselves a nutritionist, anybody can do that. There is no legally protected title typically for a nutritionist. So you just have to be a little bit careful. That nutritionist may have done like a self-study module that lasted 2 hours, or they may actually have a degree in nutrition, or they could be a registered dietitian nutritionist. So there are differences. Nutritionists are not licensed and registered. So
It's kind of like a nurse.
Yeah.
Do you want a nurse or do you want a registered nurse to do your IV?
It's very
It's the level of training and
Yeah.
oversight that's required to make sure that we're giving safe, reputable information. Um, and if someone only introduces themselves as a nutritionist, that's very uncommon for dietitians to do. There are some who just roll with the flow. I've been called a diatritionalist. What are some other fun ones? There's all kinds of crazy terms that people will kind of combine things together, but most dietitians are going to be like, "No, I'm a dietitian," because there is a difference.
very different, very firm on that.
Yes.
Y- Yeah.
So, and I see that's why I like having you all on the show today, because I'm already learning. We haven't even got into the full conversation today. I'm already learning something. I never knew there was a difference like that between dietitian and nutritionist. But that's what we're here for, be able to get that information out to the community. So next, we're going to look at what you do for the what kind of capabilities you bring to the force. So Denise, I'll start with you.
Okay, in my current job, I work as one of two registered dietitians in the operations of Joint Culinary Training Department. And there are lots of things that we do. We work on policy. We work on helping with regulations. We work on applying policy and regulations for our dining facilities. We might review items to make sure that they meet the specifications of what we want for a good quality product to be used in our facilities. We review menus. We look at the nutrient value of those menus. We might develop menus for special projects of some kind, or review garrison menus, perhaps. We're on committees. We we work with our sister services counterparts on special projects, um, and and we might work on special projects for the nutrition subcommittee. Um, so there are many tasks that we have, and that we do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So
Okay.
yeah, lots varied.
Okay. So say you're like the masterminds behind all the nutrition that's happening behind the scenes then.
I wouldn't say that. So we're subject matter experts that give guidance that is often not followed. So I'll just put that out there. When you're like, who said that was okay? A lot of time it wasn't us. So if you're looking in the kiosk and it's looking crazy, it's probably because we said don't do that and they still did.
So then, on your side of the house, ma'am, what do you do for the Army as, a uniformed dietitian?
It depends on where I'm working at the time. So we usually run the hospital dining facilities, the patient room service operations for inpatient. My last duty station, I was part of the field hospital in Korea. So I did field feeding exercises. I did a lot of 68 mic training because most of my soldiers are only there for a year and they come straight out of AIT for that particular location. We will do military nutrition environment assessments. So we'll go to the different dining facilities and we'll do a standardized questionnaire and give feedback. We'll also work with the units based on their needs, wants, challenges. Like how can we optimize what's available? How do we do the timing on your rations? What should we bring? How do you field strip? So the reality is we say eat everything. They don't always do it. So what's the most effective things to field strip? How do you want to pack it? whatever is nutrition related, we're always there to help optimize what the soldiers are doing to set them up for success. Same thing with hydration. We get a lot of heat casualties that are preventable because of misinformation or lack of planning. Uh, but if you eat it or drink it, or if it's a supplement, we're there to support and give guidance, information, and education. But just like I said for Denise, for myself, what we recommend versus what gets implemented is not always the same thing. Some of that is what can we actually make work? Some of it is leader buy-in, some of it is soldier buy-in, and just practicalities. But we try as best as we can to leverage and influence the thought leaders and the leadership to get towards better.
Okay. So, and you're saying so you can be stationed at different locations and doing the same thing?
Uh, I would like to say for military dietitians, we're generalists. We have to be able to do everything. And if you can keep doing everything, you can specialize. So you might have certain passion areas. I bet logistics, you might have things you like better too. But you have to be able to do whatever job they need you to do. So inpatient, outpatient, food service, field feeding, special force, whatever they need, sports performance nutrition, we can do it. There are certain people who are definitely better in certain areas than others, and so they get leaned on more for the more high speed stuff. But the Army doesn't let you like track where you just get to be like, I only do inpatient, I only do food service. But there are people who are very passionate about certain things, and they are often on like subcommittees or they influence certain policy letters, practices, things that we encourage based on their expertise.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit different for civilian dietitians. All of my jobs for the Army, I've worked for the Army for 16 years, and they've all really been in different areas. So, um, and that typically as a civilian, you have a specific job. And sometimes it's nice to be a generalist, but if your job is clinical, then that's what you do, right? Which can be a little bit different than being active duty dietitian.
Okay.
Active duty, we kind of cover down wherever's needed. And a lot of the time, we're the only person in that location. So you would be doing everything. I've gone to patient appointments several times with a hairnet on because I was just in the kitchen before I had my outpatient appointment and didn't realize that I hadn't taken it off. It's just whatever needs to happen, we will make it so.
Okay. So you're actually factor cooking as well, as you said?
I don't. There are dietitians who are chefs and culinarians. I do everything but the cooking in my kitchens. So I'm doing quality control, I'm doing food safety inspections, I'm making sure they're following the recipes, I'm planning the menu, I'm doing the logistics, I'm making sure supply is okay. But this is a personal thing. I refuse to cook. I'm a dietitian. I am not a cook, and I've got very highly skilled people that were hired for that. So that is my personal line. I'll serve on the line to give people breaks. I will help assemble trays if we're short. I'll even wash dishes because sometimes that just needs to happen. But I'm not going to cook. I'm not good at large scale cooking. My usual go to is chop it up, like keep it easy. She's an excellent cook, Denise, by the way, but I'm not.
So then, can you kind of walk us through what you mean by inpatient care
Uh,
from your perspective?
So for military hospitals, majority of the hospitals are run by a team of military and civilians where they're feeding patients for room service operations, whether that might be made to order or you've got a set menu depending on the size and the head count. We do it different ways. Many places, the 68 mics are the ones that are doing the cooking, preparation, supervisory aspects of that patient feeding. So we're the ones who are making the food, taking the orders, delivering it to the room, accommodating within whatever medical needs you have and any preferences you have, as well as allergens. So, if you ever hospitalize, God forbid, usually you'll get a nutrition screening. Someone will come visit and say, hey, is there anything you're allergic to? Anything you don't like? If you've got chewing or swallowing issues, we might have to modify the texture. We might also have the nurse call and say, hey, he's not eating anything. And can you go see him so we can figure out what you're willing to eat? And sometimes it's when you're sick, you don't want to, but you need to. For service members that are highly muscled, fairly fit, when they get immobilized, they lose weight very quickly because they're not able to engage their muscle and they're just not eating as much as they usually do. And when they're ill, plus they're bedbound, their appetite tends to decline. So it's not unusual to see a lot of weight loss very quickly in previously healthy soldiers. So we try and prevent that as much as possible.
Okay. Yeah, I never knew that. So it's definitely interesting how it's like your role is very multifaceted on everything that you're bringing to the force. So then it kind of gets me to my next point is, so how does this all tie into the holistic health and fitness program or the H2F?
Okay, so we have 5 pillars. Nutrition is one of them. And the reality is, everyone eats. Humans are very adaptable. We will survive almost anything. But when we talk about thriving, nutrition can help optimize everything else. It sets people up for success. So if you're living on Red Bulls and Rage, like a lot of soldiers, you'll survive. But if I give you real food, nutrient dense, high quality food, give you appropriate fueling opportunities, you're going to think better, you're going to recover better, you're going to react better, you're going to have a better strength, speed, stamina. You're also going to look better. And a lot of soldiers care about that. So better hair, skin, nails, less body fat, more muscle mass. And do you work out?
Yes.
Okay. Do you like being sore? No, no one does.
Yeah.
So I can't promise that you won't be sore, but you will be less sore and you will recover faster when you're doing the appropriate lifestyle behaviors to set you up for success. And that is the beauty of nutrition is we don't have to be perfect. We just have to work towards better. And for most people, it's not knowledge, it's environment, policy, and access that drive behavior. So if we're setting up the environment to help people be successful, we tend to get a lot more buy-in and consistent utilization than we do if we just say, "Oh, eat fruit. It's good for you."
Yeah, so H2F dietitians assist their brigades with, or their service members with learning these things, right? And so that they can optimize their health and performance.
But not just the learning piece, but the policy.
Right.
So, like, what foods are available? What are we putting in the vending machines? How are we laying out the operations? What are we doing for sleep? Is another aspect of H2F. What are we doing for? Can we do reverse cycle PT at least before and after deployment for at least 2 weeks? Can we say, hey, no texting at 11 o'clock at night, or like, hey, set a hard curfew because that's keeping people up? There's a lot of things that are people don't realize are problematic until it's brought up and pointed out, but it has to be driven by policy
See.
because like you might be an awesome leader, but then you leave and now everything changes over again. We all know this in the Army. If it's not in writing, it doesn't count. S- But even environment, when you go to the grocery store, you know that gauntlet they have of chapstick and candy bars and chips, right? How many times have you bought something that you weren't intending to buy while you're standing in line?
That's what they get you.
Yeah.
The
That
whole
Design that
that's
way.
the environment. So how we lay out the dining facility, how we lay out what's available on the post has a huge impact. If you put fruit, like to-go fruit containers by the exit of the dining facility when they're turning in the trays, now they can pocket a piece of fruit and go. There's lots of little things. If I put cake or candy bars or anything there, it's the place where it's at. They will pocket that too.
Right.
So we're looking at how can we set people up to make the default choice the better choice. And for depending on the unit, maybe I've got armor, maybe I've got infantry, maybe different people have different energy needs and different mission sets. So how we do meal prep programs, how we do the dining facility options or what's available can all greatly influence the overall nutrition and health and wellness and recovery. The recovery is huge. Again, we survive almost anything, but thriving is what we're aiming for.
Well, and we call that behavioral design,
Yes.
basically. We design an environment that makes it easy to do what is best, really, or what to optimize your nutrition, or in other areas to optimize those other 4 areas in holistic health and fitness. So if we make it easy for people to do what is he- is healthiest for them, right, which serves them in a better way, then they're more apt to do it, basically, right?
Okay. So then it gets into the really a foundational part of this is why should soldiers care about nutrition?
Exactly all the things I've been saying, because nutrition is the foundation to set you up for success. Some things are beyond your control. You may not be Arnold Schwarzenegger because you do not have the genetics to put on that much muscle. But everyone can get stronger. Everyone can get faster. Everyone can feel better. And I can't control how long you're going to live, but your quality of life and how well your body's doing, that's very influenced by nutrition. So I don't really care how long I live, but I do care about my quality of life while I'm alive. So I've got patients in their 60s that are miserable. I've got people in their 80s that are doing great. And a lot of that is diet, lifestyle, sleep, physical activity, social engagement. There's many, many things going on there. But I can tell you the nutrition is a huge piece of it.
So then, the way I introduced this entire conversation today is like the Go for Green, this
Mhm.
labeling system that we've seen in their dining facilities for a while now. So can you kind of walk us through this concept, Go for Green, these labeling systems, like how they came about, like what they really mean for soldiers?
Sure. Um, our current program, which is called Go for Green, which is a food labeling system, began, if I'm not wrong, it began, I want to say, around 2008 or so. I don't know when it was fully implemented, with the Soldier Fueling Initiative, which was our initial entry training, and as a way to provide for our trainees a, a way to very quickly assess the sort of the performance value of foods, and it is now used in all of our dining facilities. All the services use it. They may have the other services may have their own version of it. Marines have Fit to Fight. Uses the same algorithm to classify those foods into either green, which are high performance foods, yellow, which are amber, which is moderate performance, and red, which are low performing foods. So we firmly believe that all of those foods can fit into your daily intake, but we really want to optimize those green foods because they're the most nutrient dense foods for us. So there's a whole system. There are recipes, um, and um, and every dining facility in the Army should have those cards up so that you can see which are the green foods, which are the yellow foods, which are the red foods, and then also the sodium content of those foods. So that's the way that it started. It started in our training facilities, and then it was just applied for our permanent party facilities, and special forces have a different algorithm, but it's the same general concept.
A little bit more elaborate for special
Yes.
forces. So they've got more colors and they've got more information on the cards, but they have a much smaller force and they have dedicated dietitians to provide the education to make that applicable.
Right.
Most soldiers can do green, yellow, red. That's pretty doable. So eat more green and yellow, less red, tends to fly very easily. It's not just the color codes though. So we also how we lay out the line. Again, going back to that choice architecture, how you lay out the line determines what choices people make. So if you front load the green items, then the yellow, then the red, people tend to eat more green and yellow. Uh, I like to make the vegetables go first in my dining facility. My cooks hate it because everyone wants to see what the entree is, so there's a lot of looky-looing happening. But I can tell you because hospital dining facilities are typically a la carte, so I can track my sales. When we do vegetables first, I sell more vegetables because people like vegetables. It's well, if you cook them right, not brown broccoli, but like real good vegetables. Um, so how you lay out the line is part of it. Also advertising. So we have posters throughout the dining facility explaining different aspects of Go for Green, performance nutrition, how to make a better sandwich. Like there's all kind of stuff. But the intent is for people that are eating in the dining facility, maybe they've got their spot or their location they like to sit. We rotate those posters quarterly so that they're not seeing the same thing all the time. And reality is you don't always get your spot. So if you end up sitting somewhere else, that's good. Um, there's also education for the cooks, the people who are running the dining facilities, to make sure they understand how and why Go for Green matters, why we have to follow the recipe. And then for depending on the location and if they've got a dedicated dietitian like the H2F teams, they may be doing education in the unit about like, hey, this is the menu this week, or this is the menu today. Here's the better choices, or this is your performance focused meal if you're going to do the EFMB or the Ruck March or whatever thing is going on. So I won't say that most units have that necessarily because unless you've got a dedicated dietitian through H2F, most of the dietitians are hospital or medcom assets, or now it's DHA, Defense Health Agency. So they're doing everything for the post out of hide. So we're happy to support, but when I'm working on DHA side, I'm not seeking extra work because I got plenty. So if you're not coming to see us, then we're probably not coming to find you. But the H2F dietitians are dedicated to that brigade. Their whole mission is making the nutrition optimized for that brigade.
Well, and sometimes you actually may see a dietitian in the dining facility, because we know this happens sometimes that that dietitian will just just go for a meal so that they can answer any, not to provide counseling or anything, but
Awareness.
just awareness and to answer questions. If you have a question about something, then the dietitian is there to answer your questions about nutrition. So that's always like a really I love to see that if I'm out in a dining facility to see that a dietitian is engaged and has made the time, because like Major Jessen said, they have, their assets of DHA typically, or the brigade. But we always think that's a really great idea and thing for dietitians to be there in the facility.
And our 68 mics will often do the same. So that's where the dietitian extender piece comes in. We want to work them at the highest scope of their practice, and that we want to work us at the highest scope of our practice. So having the 68 mics available can be very helpful for same purpose, but now DHA is like, see patients. The mics don't have the same pressure sometimes, so they can support and reach out if they need help.
So how does this all tie into like the Army's new campus-style dining facilities?
So campus-style dining facilities have a different set of they operate in a different way, the facilities themselves. So they operate as an à la carte facility, which is obviously unlike the legacy dining facilities. But within that campus-style dining facility, there are standards that have to be met in terms of the number of different things that have to be offered, right? Um, so so there will be different stations with different items, and you have the choice to choose what you want to choose, with either obviously you pay for it if you're not a meal card holder. If you're a meal card holder, you get a certain amount of money to spend if that you choose to spend it in a campus style dining facility. So once again, they are um, color coding items. They're using standardized recipes, and it will look, because it will be in a former dining facility, it will look a little bit different, right? But there will still be lots of choices, and those items will be color coded. So you will be able to see your green, yellow, and red items in the dining facility, in the campus style dining facility. Sorry.
Is the hours of operation more available? Isn't that one of the big sells?
Yes, that there is more flexibility in terms of operating hours. So most of our legacy dining facilities are 90-minute meal periods, as probably almost everyone is aware. And those campus style dining facilities do have some extended hours that may be specific to that particular facility or that particular garrison.
And they're run by civilian contractors, right?
It is a commercial endeavor, right? That has been undertaken with the Army. So it is a commercial contract.
So for the military, traditional dining facilities, we have split missions. We have to do field feeding, we have to do garrison feeding, and as a result, because we're not staffed to do both separately, that's why you'll see dining facilities closed down or rotating who's open because they don't have adequate staffing. So the benefit for campus style is potentially that we're going to have more consistency, and we've got different staffing, so we don't have to worry about who's here, who's deployed, who's on an exercise like we do now.
Exactly. So then, as we're going through this conversation right now, we're really seeing the importance of nutrition, what it does to the body. So we talked a little bit about here with the labels. So how can service members truly optimize their intake then?
So I'm a big fan of the performance plates, where we encourage you to adjust your plate based on your activity level. So thing I generally coach soldiers with is make a fist for me. Okay, so your fist, this is your portion size of carbs. Make a palm. So your palm, that's a serving of protein. So like 1 to 2 decks of cards, somewhere 3 to 6 ounces, about that size. 2 fists. That's your fruits and veggies. So that's for an easy training day. Maybe you're working out once a day. If we are more active, let's say we're doing 2-a-day workouts, we're not killing it, but we're more active. That's a moderate training day. So I'm going to bump up the carbs on your plate to about a third of the plate carbs. Protein stays the same. Fruits and veggies get dialed down a little, might add a little bit more fat, just to give you more energy. And then now let's say we're doing that 14-mile ruck march. That's the day where we're going to do half our plate carbs. So 2 fists carbs, 1 palm protein, 1 fist fruits and veggies. The primary beverage is always going to be water or milk, preferably low-fat milk like 1% or skim, because it's high in saturated fat. If you're only doing 1 glass a day, I don't really care. But if you like milk, it's a great source of calcium, vitamin D, some protein, and cow's milk is the only one that's equivalent is soy milk. So soy milk is calcium fortified and has the same amount of protein. Just get plain unsweetened. If you're going to do almond milk or any of the other milk types, calcium, but not the protein. But so adjusting your plate based on your adjusting your plate based on your activity level is the first strategy. Another one would be I like to coach people carbs, protein, color, plus fat. So look at your plate. Do you got some carbs? Do you got some protein? Do you got some color? That's your fruits and veggies. That's your vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, nutrients that are going to set you up for success and for recovery. Another one could be at least 3 colors, 3 textures. Because if you think about what a lot of soldiers are eating, 1 color, 1 texture. So if I have like Greek yogurt with some fruit and some nuts, 3 colors, 3 textures, easy. And now I'm getting a more nutrient dense, complete meal that's going to satiate me. And that might be more of a snack, but and set me up for success versus Skittles. I'm not saying lots of colors from Skittles. You're going to get that sugar spike, you're going to get that drop, and then you're going to feel like crap. There's a big difference on what we're aiming for.
Yeah, my wife will get, she says I eat very one color, pretty much just brown of my carbs, my pasta, and all my proteins.
Yeah.
I'm not a short meal. I'm not a fruit guy at all. I'll drink fruit juices, but I just have no texture, taste of fruit at all.
Can you eat vegetables?
Vegetables, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
any of them count. So just plants. Another thing, if you want to get fancy with it, is 50 different plants a week, which I know sounds crazy, but
I
different
haven't had that in my life.
No, you'll be surprised. So a different color. So if it's an orange pepper, a red pepper, a green pepper, it's got different phytochemicals. It's got different nutrients. They all count. If you eat a variety of different things, you're going to be okay. So for breakfast, I had Greek yogurt, blueberries, strawberries, some pepitos and walnuts, and a scoop of chia seeds. So I got like 5 different plants right there. And it wasn't a punishment. It tasted good. It looked pretty. I got lots of colors and I meal prepped it. So I don't have to make breakfast for 4 days because I just split the tub and put it all together. For lunch, stir fry. So broccoli, carrots, mushrooms, onions, ginger, rice. So again, if you can eat a lot of plants, just don't eat the exact same thing every meal, every day. If you're mixing it up, you're getting variety. What I sometimes see people doing is like brown rice chicken, broccoli, or brown rice chicken, green beans every day, all the time. That is not nutrient dense either. It's better than fast food. But we still want that variety. So if you're looking at, hey, can I get more color? Can I get more plants? Maybe when I'm at the store, I don't love bananas, but I'll buy 2 because I don't hate them. It's just I'm trying to get different food, different color. And sometimes they're on sale. They're generally the cheapest thing you can buy fruit-wise at the commissary.
So one thing I would not eat.
Oh, so the other thing, that dietitians will tell you is typically is if you're a healthy person, then we really feel like it's optimal to get your nutrients from food, right? Just actual food, and it's not that hard if you go. Especially if you use the dining facility,
Best deal in town?
yeah, it's the best deal in town and it's food, right? So there's plenty of everything that you may need in a dining facility. There's plenty of protein, plenty of good carbohydrates, healthy fats, lots of fruits and vegetables, whatever it is that you like from the fruits and vegetables, because we know that not everybody likes everything, right? So, so you don't need special foods, right? Just need food.
No protein Pop-Tarts, no vitamin water.
Don't.
We've got way too much Frankenfoods and science foods where they're trying to sell you a product. You don't need to do all that. You're going to get way more bang for your bite and for your dollar, gram for gram, if you just eat real food. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's right. So I have 2 points on that. One is like, yes, get out to the dining facilities, campus style dining facilities, or like here on Fort Lee,
Right.
Very Fresh. Because one, it's the cost effectiveness is much better. Like you're paying for real food. you're not going to be able to pay for the amount of food that you get for as cheap that you get anywhere else.
Right, and the variety,
hmm
basically.
and like it goes back to like you said, eating real food. Like I know for me, and my wife, we're always meal prepping, cooking everything from scratch. Like I know last night she made chicken pot pie from scratch, the crust, everything from scratch, and it was fantastic. And I had it for dinner, had it for lunch today, and I'll get one more meal out of it.
Yeah.
So it's just getting there, taking the time to meal prep, and one, it's much more cost effective. You would cook the stuff freshly by from scratch is much more cost effective than trying to buy one of those little individual meals already done for you that you just microwave.
So, yeah, having some kind of plan too, that's one of the other parts of it, whether you're gonna eat in the dining facility or a campus-style dining facility or what it is you're gonna do for your meal, um, will typically mean that at the last minute, you're not trying to figure out, "Okay, what is there to eat?" And that you're standing in front of the vending machine trying to find something that you think might meet your nutritional need, because it's unlikely that will that will actually happen. So, having a plan is really good too, and maybe that plan is a dining facility.
Exactly. So, one thing I want to turn the conversation to is like the meals ready MREs, and I know there's a variety of them out there. And then there's always the ongoing debate throughout time is, of course, which one's the best, and everybody has their own opinion on which meal is the best. And as we dive into that today, just kind of want to start with like why the meals are designed the way they are. And of course, I know that there are multiple different types of MREs out there, of course.
As far as MREs go, we've got the heat and serves, which are like the ones that we heat up for mass feeding. We've also got the meals ready to eat, which are in like the brown bag that we often get when we're on field exercises, on convoys, things like that. We also have the UGRAs, which are the ones that require refrigeration freezing. So those tend to have more of the fresh ingredients. They're the ones everyone likes.
We also have the UGRE, which is the Express. It was in service for a while, and then it was not produced for a while, and then they began producing them again a couple of years ago. They don't require a 92 Gulf to essentially deploy them. They're just you pull a couple of tabs, and they are intended um, for a smaller number of people. And what else do we have? CCAR, a close combat assault ration, which is taking the place of the first strike. So it's fewer calories, but they're compact. So they would fit in your cargo pocket. And they provide I want to say about maybe 2/3 of the calories you might need for the day. Um, and then we have the Moors. They're a modular ration that is small. They're usually between 1,000 and 1,200 calories. There's a hot weather, a cold weather, and there will be a performance more. And the hot weather and the cold weather go along with the cold weather MRE, right? And the hot weather can be used in any hot weather sometimes it's used independently, but sometimes it's in our training, but usually it's used with an MRE to supplement in certain conditions where you may need more calories. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Of course, my favorite is the cold weather MREs.
Okay.
The Arctic ones. Those are always my
Already.
favorite because one, it's freeze dried, and it's just the same as if I go to the store. It's the same same product. Those were always a lot of fun to eat when I was up in Alaska. So those are, of course, one of my favorites. So why are they designed the way they are then?
So they're intended to be used in tactical situations. So the goal is when you're in the garrison environment, we're going to optimize your nutrition with high quality, nutrient dense foods. But when we're deployed, when we're doing exercises, we have to make some compromises. So we want to make sure that we can have shelf stability, minimal weight, minimal packaging, and we want to be able to get the food to the soldier quickly, easily. And so they're going to have more sodium. They're going to have less liquid, less water, because that will reduce bacterial growth. They're going to be very energy dense because, in theory, when you're active, when you're deployed, you're doing a lot. And so we want you to eat as much of that ration as you can. The beverages often have electrolytes and things in them that will help support those increased sweat losses, things along those lines. Um, Depending on the person, you often will get 2 MREs a day, and 1 hot food if you're lucky, but sometimes it's 3 MREs a day. If you're really lucky, you get 2 hots and an MRE, but it really depends on the tactical situation. And with LISCO, we know that we're gonna be moving more, we're gonna be having less opportunity and ability to stay stationary and to set up those higher, requirement feeding operations. So the MRE is gonna be a very common ration.
And just to add that these are developed at Natick in Massachusetts, where there is Eucerium is. There's a lot of research done there. So these are all research based and developed. So there's scientists, food technologists, dietitians. Is this only one of the things they do there at Natick that do the testing and make sure that these rations contain. Usually it's an MRE is around 1,200 calories. It might be a little bit more, but it's a certain proportion of your macronutrients that they have to meet and all kinds of other parameters.
Minerals.
Yeah, your micronutrients. And then, of course, they have to last for an extended period of time. The shelf life, usually it has to be 3 years. So there's a lot of research. It's not just like, oh, this sounds good, let's put that in there. They have to meet certain parameters.
They do field testing, they do taste testing. They are trying to find products that people enjoy, that are palatable. And when we say enjoy, I realize MREs are no one's favorite food. But there are some, like I remember the egg omelet being the thing that was like the punishment MRE. If you got that one, you're just like, or at least for me, that was the one I definitely didn't want to eat. Is it still around? Have you seen it? I haven't seen it in the last few years. I think they got rid of it. I hope they did. But that was the one that always creeped me out. But they will look at utilization. Have you had the pizza MRE?
I've seen it. I didn't try it, but I've seen it out there.
Surprisingly well received. I did not think it was delicious at all, but if you're used to like a pizza Lunchable, very similar. And so soldiers actually like it based on the feedback we got and the utilization. So they do adjust, and they also look at how long is it going to be shelf stable for different nutrients. So they may have had something that like they have you noticed like the raisins or the dried fruit have an interesting texture?
Being a picky eater I am, have not tried those.
Okay, well, they can be sprayed with stuff, a little bit of oil with some vitamins, depending on which one you're getting, specifically because they're trying to get certain nutrients that might be lacking otherwise to set soldiers up for success.
Okay. This is always different, always very unique, talking about MREs because as you brought up, of course, these meals have changed throughout the year. I mean, we can go back to C rations and like
Sure.
it's the history of the nutrition and it just the way the army's, fed people throughout generations. So it's always interesting because I know when I was a kid, I always enjoy when my dad was in the service, bring home an MRE. Back then they had hot dog MREs.
I haven't seen one of those.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was back in the 90s,
Okay.
but early 2000s. And I was like, oh, that's the coolest thing. Of course, they don't have those anymore. But just it was always cool as a kid. And then now you're like, man, I'm eating these all the time. So
Well, and the other thing to kind of remember about nutrition is that nutrition science is evolving, because I hear this too, like, well, this is not the way that we used to eat, right? And so some things have stood the test of time, but nutrition is a really rapidly evolving science, and so some things that we used to think were the best thing, are no longer the best thing because of research that has happened in the meantime. So I think sometimes that is also important to understand that what MREs looked like, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, um, are rations, field rations, they're different now because of what we've learned in the meantime, and also technology, right? So those things kind of go together.
Food packaging preservation technology has grown leaps and bounds.
Right.
So we are getting some better things in MREs from like when I joined the Army to now. I've seen improvements, and you probably have as well. There's always some duds, and that's often personal preference based, but they're always improving, and that's the goal.
Yep.
So you've hit a lot of different things onto the conversation today. Is there anything else, like any other nutrition programs you would like to highlight to the community then?
I'm a big fan of hprc-online.org. That is your go-to resource for everything Total Force Fitness. It's DoD approved and moderated. It does not require a CAT card. You can read it on your phone, but nutrition, sleep, fitness, wellness, spiritual, mental, you name it, it's there. Heat casualty, anything that you want that's performance-based, they have it, and they have really great resources intended for service members and their families. We also have Operation Supplement Safety, opss.org. That is your go-to resource for anything supplement related, also a DoD website, and it prevents you from taking prohibited substances. So if you go there, you can see what's not allowed. You can also learn about common supplements like caffeine or creatine, so you're dosing appropriately, you're using them for the right purpose and way. You can also ask the expert, and you can do a supplement safety self-check. At a minimum, I would strongly encourage service members and their families to get third-party certified products because it is a very, very poorly regulated industry that is worth billions upon billions of dollars. So they can often have steroids, methamphetamines, Viagra, antidepressants, heavy
Contaminants.
metals,
Yeah.
yeah, all kinds of things in supplements that people don't realize. And when you start looking at the liver, the kidney, the heat casualty, a lot of times supplements are a factor. And that's the soldiers that had really severe outcomes. How many times have you talked to someone who has taken like pre-workout that was just giving them the jitters real bad, you know? They're so not saying don't take supplements, but supplements are intended to supplement the diet. So we want a foundation of food and you want to take them with a purpose where it's evidence-based and it makes sense for your goals. Because I see a lot of people taking stuff and they're like, "Oh, I heard it was good." Good for what? What is your goal? What are you trying to do? And just because it's sold on post does not mean it's safe. So not everything on post is third party certified, and there are specific agencies that OPSS recommends using for your third party certification. So those would be two big ones. If you are interested in quitting for tobacco cessation, nicotine cessation, you can quit too. So ycq2.org is a great resource as well for anything in that realm. Vaping is just as bad as smoking. Neither are good or are optimal for you. Neither is dipping. All of those are detrimental for long-term health and tendon health and recovery as well. So those are my go-tos that I often recommend. What else you got, Denise?
I think RE wellness centers are Armed Forces Wellness Centers. And there is a wellness center on Fort Lee. So it's a great resource if you want general information about eating well and taking care of yourself. And so they have professionals, health educators that work down there, and they can provide lots of good information. They could also provide information on um, quitting smoking or quitting nicotine. But it's a great resource. Not every location has one, so I typically encourage people to take advantage of that and the resources that they have, the services that they provide. So,
Another one is not on every base, but the R2 Performance Centers. We also have one here at Fort Lee as well.
mhm.
They focus more on the mental aspects of performance, team building, resiliency. Great resource. They'll come out to your unit, they'll do one on ones. And in my opinion, they're underutilized here because I have tell people about them, and most people recognize the Wellness Center, but they're like, "What's R2?" So make them work. We want them to be gainfully employed, and they do great things.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure all those links and resources you just talked about are included in the show notes for today's episode. So it's easy access for people. So I think these are all great resources to get involved with. Check them out. I've always been a huge proponent of the Army Wellness Center. When I was in Alaska, I used them constantly.
Right.
There's a lot of resources there just to measure your overall health and just to continue to, see how you're improving through whatever your eating is, your sleep, your exercise, and seeing that with the impact, so highly suggest checking them out.
One more plug I want to put in is the Ordnance Brigade and the Quartermaster Brigades for Fort Lee will be getting H2F teams resourced by this fall. So we will have more assets here than we've ever had before.
So that is amazing. So is there any advice you have for the sustainment community overall or the Army?
My advice would be to eat well eat from all your green, amber, and red groups, and to use your dining facility, whether it's a legacy dining facility or whether it's a campus-style dining venue, that, this is where your best deal is going to be, and this is where you can eat a variety of good food.
PRT ends after breakfast. Don't leave gains on the table. Make sure you have carbs, protein, color within 60 to 90 minutes post-workout, whether that's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You don't have to do anything special. You just have to eat real food.
Well, thank you both very much for, the conversation today. I know people are probably going to have some more follow-up questions. This might be the first time that, they really heard from a dietitian. And they might be able to say, hey, I have a few other questions I want to, ask. So where can they find you if they want to be able to send their cards and letters?
I'm on Global.
And I'm on Global.
So, of course, thank you both for coming in today. This has been a fantastic conversation. I know myself, I've learned a lot when it comes to the concept of, nutrition versus, nutritionist versus dietitian, understanding the capabilities that you bring to the forest and really the overall health of the forest when it comes to nutrition. So just really thank you both for coming on today.
It's a pleasure working with you.
I was happy to be here with you.
And don't forget, we have dietitians at most military bases. So leverage your resources. Go find the people that are available when you have questions.
Well, thank you both once again. So there you have it, folks. Another one of our episodes today where we've really focused in when it comes to nutrition and what it means to optimize your nutrition. So highly implore you to check out all the resources that we discussed today. See them for yourself. Get out there. Continue to eat real food. Check out your different dining facilities. Let it be the traditional one, the campus-style dining facilities, or like the Victory Fresh that we have here on Fort Lee. So get out there. Continue to go for green to completely fuel your body in all aspects thereof. But that is all we have today, folks. As always, sustainable leaders start here. See you next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of the LOGSTAT. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Please share this episode across your formation and leave us a review. If you have a topic you'd like here discussed, then please reach out to us at armysustainment@army.mil or directly to me on Global at garett.h.pyle. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the U.S. Army CASCOM page. We'll see you next time. Sustainment leaders start here.